Mic check. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Zoo, here we go again. Everybody, I mean everybody. Got a lot to say, got a lot to say. I mean everybody. Got a lot to say, got a lot to say.
My microphone is on.
All right, so welcome to the Adult Conversations podcast, and if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for tuning in to the Adult Conversations channel, where we discuss topics of adult content. Of course, this is your girl, Ijanae, and you can follow me on IG at Ijanae Pollard. I won't spell it out right now because we got some people on here that introduction, so I'm gonna just move it along. First, we have Nashima. She says hi. We have John Tez.
John Tez, you can follow me on Instagram, Zednaj Cop Day. Easy to find.
All right, and then we have George.
Yes, so George, you find me on Instagram under Ashley_Park, P-A-R with a Q.
All right, so today I want to talk about school not being for everyone. I'll pose the question later after I read this little insert that I seen on the Shade Room. So, of course, the Shade Room always posting something that these artists or entertainment people are always saying. And one of their posts was from Meg the Stallion, and she says this: although school is not for everyone, do not let people discourage you from pursuing a higher education. We need the upcoming generation with better mindsets to become our next lawyers, judges, doctors, etc. We need good people with real morals and values in high places. So my question is, where did this notion or belief that school is not for everyone come from? Like, is this belief pushing the agenda for ignorance? What do you think about that?
I won't go first.
Why?
I feel like I'm gonna say too much, so I ain't going first.
No,
ladies first.
Ahead.
Ladies first. No, ladies first. Ladies first.
Well, then, Nashima, you go. Hold on, you muted. You muted. Let me unmute you. Unmute yourself. All right, there you go.
Okay. So I think a lot of these parents are young parents, and they feel like because they didn't have an education, that they child didn't don't need an education, or like, hey, I'm making, $10 or $15 an hour, you know what I'm saying, and I don't have an education, so therefore you can do the same thing, like $10 or $15 an hour is like really good out here, and it's not. Because I see it a lot, a lot of parents that's uneducated themselves. So like their children getting better education, it becomes a jealousy thing. Oh, now you think you better than the family. Oh, this generation never had this and we didn't have that. So what makes you so different and what makes you so special?
Okay. I can definitely see that. Definitely can see that. What about you, George?
I want to hear what you got to say first.
I mean, I'm for education, no matter how you get it. I'm going to push for it. I'm going to push for the experience of going to school. I don't care if it's a community college. I don't care if it's somewhere you just getting a certificate, CEU, wherever the case is. I'm pushing for it because of the fact that the experience is also the teacher in this situation. Yes, you can go on Google and find information that you need to learn about this and learn about that, but you also need that experience in regards to how educational systems work. Like, you need to figure out how teachers operate in classrooms. You don't get that when you teach yourself. Just the environment, period. Some of that stuff you cannot just learn by sitting behind a computer. So I'm for it. I'm definitely pushing the agenda to go back to school for something. I don't care if you're going back to school to learn how to tie your shoe better. I don't care if you're back to school to learn how to sell your weed better. Go back to school for something. Have your name on something at the end of the day.
Good. So both of you touched on 2 points that I was going to say. So wonderful, great. So now I got to say it.
You know what?
That's so. Once again, I want to make sure I ain't talk too much, but yes, both of you are absolutely correct. I think for me, one thing that I kind of gain from going to school is just the challenge of it, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's an educational piece, there's an experience part, and then of course we have the perception to where if you go to school, because when you go to school and come back home, you are changed. You are a different person. But then, like she said earlier, it's like you may come back home and people feel like, oh, now you feel like you're better than me because you look at the world differently. You had these new experiences, etc. But I know for me personally, it was an opportunity for me to really, once again, challenge myself, and not necessarily what I learned, but what I learned outside of myself, what I learned about myself. And I think that's something that education really does give you. It teaches you that, you know what, regardless of what you go to school for, you can learn and adapt to whatever challenge you present in front of yourself. But some people get so complacent in where they're at that they fear being in uncomfortable situations. And as we all know, unless you get to a place to where you are challenged, to where you have to do something different, you have to do something new, then you'll never grow. And I think that's the biggest loss for people not going to school, is the fact that they don't get an opportunity to truly grow because they stay in a stagnant environment or one they're already comfortable in.
Exactly. And
All right.
another aspect of that is your social learning as well. Like, some people are not that great in regards to communicating with others. Their social skills is not there where it should be. And school teaches you that. Like, when we, send our kids to school early or daycare or whatnot, it's so much more than them just learning their ABCs. I mean, you could do that at home with your child, but they also need to learn how to be around other kids. So it's so much more than you just getting an education and getting a document that says, oh, you completed this course, or, oh, you have a degree. It's so much more than that, and I don't think people realize that.
Can I tap into that?
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen myself. You know how some street dudes, be out in the streets. However, once they get older, they decide that they want to get into the business field, and then they get into the business environment. You can dress as nice as you want, but if you want a company to take you serious and you don't have the education behind that, who's going to actually take you serious? Like, if you're going to a networking event, if you cannot speak how you need to speak, then that says a whole lot. Like, a lot of people's like, I don't care how much money you got. What can you do for me? Like, you can't even write a complete sentence or anything because you don't have the education. And then that tends to, like, frustrate people. Like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. How you know you can do it if you don't have the education? You actually need to go to a business class to learn how to talk business other than being street. You can't go in there, oh, motherfucker, this, that, and the third. You can't go in a business meeting like that,
Oh.
It's always good to have street smarts, but it's also good to have, other smarts. Book smarts.
Exactly.
You want to have that, in order for people to actually take you serious.
Exactly.
And also, to tap in on that, what I see with education as well is definitely the college aspect. I don't care if you're going to college, if you're going to get a certificate, like you said, but it's also teaching that aspect of, I need to be responsible. My mom's not getting me up. Nobody's on me. Nobody's reading my report cards. I have to do this myself. So you're showing self-initiative, self-responsibility, self-guidance, which will prepare you for the world. Because if you don't have none of that, you're going to mess up in everything you do. So it's literally teaching you, how to be as responsible, how to have initiative, how to have self-discipline. And that's the biggest piece that getting into one education as far as college gives you, because that you can't just learn that without that. That's the first step. And then after you get out of school or whatever, you get into a good career, your own business, or into a good job, I need to do this on time. I need to get up on time. I need to do this. You have that in place because you've been practicing that whole 2-4 years you've been in college. So that's a big aspect there as well. And once again, I don't feel a 4-year college is for everybody. I don't feel a 2-year college is for everybody. But okay, if you feel like that, go get a certificate. HVAC, construction, something. We still need that to get the world moving. Yeah. And it is good money in there as well.
Damn good money, dude.
Some people don't have that good determination to go to school for 4 years, but they might have just enough willpower to go to school for a year to get a certificate for something. So
exactly.
with that being said, I didn't go to 2 years. I didn't do 4 years. I got a business certificate. I own my own company now. So when I'm out networking, I know how to present myself and I know how to talk. It's not even about the going for 4 years or the 2 years. At least get some type of education so when you do get out in a real world, you'll understand what's going on. So I think I'm successful. So
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
So
I
my
be
bills
telling that to
paid.
people who be out here who be out here doing their little hustle, their little dime bag hustle and all that stuff. Like, okay, you know how to sell weed in the streets, but go beyond that. Like, learn how to manage a business. They starting to come out here with these CBD joints and stuff like that. Go beyond you selling out your car. You have to take yourself a little bit further, step further than that. So I mean, it's possible. So where did this whole notion that it's not for everybody come from? Because I'm still bad for that, people saying that though.
What I think
Go ahead, Tej.
also,
Yeah.
I got two ways on it. I think some people stand behind that education isn't for everybody, thinking that it's just college and not
Yep.
a certificate program. Some people are standing behind it just because of that. Oh, you don't have to go to college, blah, blah, blah. You can go, to this career institute or this institute to get a certificate. Yeah, education isn't for everybody. But some people are looking at the other way, as in, you get out of high school, you don't need anything else, or you don't got to finish high school, or you can come work at a Jeep with me, and et cetera, et cetera. Some people got different notions on what is education isn't for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably got more followers on it than you really do have.
Right. Which I don't know. I hate when I hear people say that. No, seriously, I hate when I hear people say that, especially Black people, because of the fact that I always tie in the fact that we always want to talk about how there is this blood oath for when we don't vote because our ancestors fought and died to give us or make sure we had the right to vote. It's the same with education. It was people out here, our ancestors, dying for being smart, for knowing stuff. Like, if slave masters knew that you were educated in any form, they were going to kill you because that messed up their agenda. So, I mean, it's kind of the same. Act like it's a blood oath on that. I'm not saying that you got to go all the way to get your PhD. No, but go do something. So.
And I think so, because it comes from like two different, I guess, angles. In our own community, and I think Tez touched on that, in our own community, it is because there's a perception that, higher education is only a 4-year or 2-year college, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then there's also another aspect to where, like he said, graduated high school, some people that, never joined the, I guess, white collar workforce and then more of a blue collar. And it says, okay, I was able to be a blue collar worker. So for instance, my mom's generation, all of them, for the most part, worked in factories, plants, etc., because those are the jobs that were available. That was the best money that was available. And if you worked a plant job for 25 years and could retire, you were successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then fast forward to, I guess, our time, our current day, and it's like that isn't the only options that we have. And because we have so many different options that are available to us, once again, it's that fear that people just shy away and say, oh, well, I'm gonna just stick to what I saw. I'm gonna just stick to what I know people around me did. And that's just in our community. Now, there's also another angle that we get that perception from, and it's really from white society, just being real. Because as you stated, for so long, we didn't even have the ability to go and gain a higher education or get access to that information. So now that we can, it's like, okay, I'm not saying that there are people, I know this, there are people intentionally dissuading us from pursuing education. But for the most part, it's really just society just saying, or white society just saying, oh, well, education isn't for everyone. Some of you can go in the military, some of you can come do some trade jobs, some of you can cut some grass for us and stuff like that, as opposed to, okay, if we get this education, we will now begin challenging you for the positions that you've held for so long.
Exactly.
So me and my fiance were just talking about like senators in the House and in House of Representatives, et cetera, right? And of course, all of those positions, they've been held by white society essentially
Mm-hmm.
since the beginning of our country.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that the case? Because they're the most educated demographic. They're also the demographic that also has the most money. And in order to gain access to those positions, you need both of those. You need the education and you need the money to support you behind that, right?
Mm-hmm.
With black people, the issue isn't money. We have the money in our community.
Right.
If I wanted to be a senator for my city back home, I know I could raise the cash, right?
Right.
But it's about, okay, do I have the experience? Do I have the education to be able to validate myself when white society looks at me and says, why are you coming for this? Like, because I'm qualified to do the job. So
Exactly.
if they prevent us from getting to that place to where we can overcome the toll gate that they have in place,
Mm-hmm.
then now, once again, we can begin pushing our agenda on the levels that it needs to be pushed on, as opposed to, well, we just need to get out and vote. Nah, damn that. We need to be running for stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
We need to
Exactly.
be running for stuff. But
Exactly.
we don't pursue the education. We don't pursue the qualifications that are going to put us in a position to be able to do that. And that is by design.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. I definitely agree with that. So I think we need to definitely push ourselves and push each other to at least try to change these narratives, because if not, we're going to be back at square one. I mean, which is
Facts.
unfortunate.
So I got a question along, well, just wondering, how does everyone feel about the HBCU versus PWI thing in regards to, I guess, education?
I mean, on some real stuff, I wanted to go to HBCU. I wanted to, when I left high school, I went to a predominantly white high school where I felt like I did not have me there and I could not learn about me there. So a lot of the history about African Americans, my ancestors, I definitely wasn't going to get that there because it wasn't reinforced. I wanted to go to an HBCU because I know I would have been surrounded by that, especially because I wanted to go down in Atlanta, know what they're I wanted to be down there and engulfed in that because I felt like I wasn't getting it where I was already at. So, I mean, I'm for it. I wish that a lot more HBCUs were heavily funded by Black people in a sense of, how do I want to say that? I think I just said it. I just wish they were more heavily funded by Black people. I feel like a lot of us need to start making our own schools, because even though it has the Black face on it, it don't mean it's run by Black people or funded by Black people. So, yeah, that's just my take on it.
I personally think a lot of these white schools do give out great scholarships.
Yes.
So I think that's why a lot of Black people go to a lot of white schools, because the scholarships. You know, nobody wants to come out of college with a $100,000 debt, opposed to, you know, saying going to HBC schools. Some people might, some people, you know, that like might get a scholarship to that college, but it don't always work that way. So my daughter wants to go to Kentucky State. However, they go to a Christian private school now. It's a lot of Christian private colleges now that's offering her scholarships. And I tell her, that's great that you want to go to Kentucky. However, if this white college give you a full scholarship, honey,
you go.
They don't give you one, then that's the school you're going to go to that's going to give you the full scholarship. So it makes a big difference. You want your child to, you know, be around Black people, to know about Black culture and everything. But then in a sense, like, you know, like a lot of these white schools are offering better scholarships and giving you a little bit more. And that's bad to say, but I mean, it's reality.
It is.
Is that though? Why do you think that is? Like, why are we not offering our people scholarships, better education opportunities? I mean, it can still go back to the fact that just because the Black face is on there don't mean that it's ran by Black, but still, why do you think that is the case? Sure, from the predominantly white are just trying to meet that.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the research, the data in front of me. I just know from the HBCUs that I do know of and most of them are private. So when and the reason that they're private, I have as something I got to look up. Maybe due to whoever started the school or whatever, or however that came about. But when you're a private institution, it limits the amount of money that the state and the government can actually give you for education. And so that, I think that's a part of it. Also, the second part is back to what you said is, you know, we got schools that have like long money, like stupid long money. And part of the reason is, once again, I don't want to change topics, but just athletics alone.
Mm-hmm.
Athletics alone at PWI Division I, Division II colleges bring in multi-millions of dollars every year.
Yeah.
And so in most schools, they actually make more money off of athletics than they do from tuition fees, right? So, but our black athletes don't go to our HBCUs. Because once again, and it's kind of like an endless cycle. They don't go to HBCUs because they don't have the money, so they go to PWIs and generate more money for them. But if they want to go to a HBCU, the HBCU doesn't have enough money to give them a full ride or what they need in order to be able to be successful. So it's like it sucks, but I would like to see the cycle end one day to where we are making sure that we're investing in what we have. For instance, I'm currently in Alabama. Every black person down here either has Alabama or Auburn gear. We got Alabama State University. Why aren't y'all buying their stuff? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're willing to support these PWIs financially, not even realizing it, all because you want to root for their team. But then what you do is you're taking your dollar out of your community, and not putting it back into an Alabama State that really needs the funding. That, you know, I mean, literally, it's in the middle of the state, so literally from every part of the state, you can drive and go to their store, or you can order something, get it sent to you. Just that level of support is something that's just missing, and it's sad, but that's what it is.
Right. You got anything to say, John Sayers?
I ain't got much to chime in on that one. But once again, like you said, the sports is the biggest thing. That's where a lot of scholarships come from, and which they say a lot of the HBCUs can't afford full ride scholarships. And just imagine if all the African American people that had good athletics went to these HBCUs, they'll be run dry. They'll be run dry first of all, and they'll be taken athletic wise. So they'll take over athletic wise, and these PWI, they don't want that. They will literally lose all their funding because they can't. They're losing every game or something in that sort. These sponsors that they have that get them for their wins. Oh, you got a good season. We'll sponsor this much or we'll get this much or whatever. And then these HBCUs will actually run dry financially because they got to sit here and provide scholarships for each one of these athletes that are coming through their doors, and they can't afford that. So, and it's not as many HBCUs as there are PWIs, unfortunately. So that unfortunately doesn't help either. So, yeah. Some of these rappers, these big African American rappers and actors and etc. to put some money together and give to some of these HBCUs to bring it up.
Exactly.
That's just my point of view. You got the money, they balling out on these Rolls Royces and these big rings and expensive houses and cars. At least sell one of them cars and go put it towards the HBCU. But that's just my opinion.
Right. So what are your thoughts? Where did this notion or belief that school is not for everyone come from? Is this belief pushing the agenda for ignorance? If you are on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and also make sure you hit the bell button so that you are notified when I make more videos and also podcast segment. Also, if you are a part of the Adult Conversations group, make sure that you comment your thoughts about this segment today.